sitter Cecilie, Dara og jeg fra Later Change på toget på vei fra Stockholm til Oslo. Vi er godt fylt opp med inntrykk og følelser og kunnskap og
det er vi. Ja. Det har tatt litt tid å fordøye det, og vi er ikke ferdig med det enda, fordi det har vært så veldig mange inntrykk. Og mye følelser. Først og fremst håp og samhold, at vi sammen kan gjøre endringer, og at det ikke er for sent. Men også alvoret i situasjonen, alvoret hvordan verden har det. Ikke sant?
Det har ikke liksom bare vært sånn, det er ikke en halleluja-stemning, det har vært ganske klare beskjeder fra scenen og forskjellige forhold, hva status på jorda er, og hva vi må gjøre for å få det til. Så jeg tenker der sier det har vært en blanding av både sorg, men det har også vært en slags sånn samhold, glede, håp mot at ved å jobbe på å endre oss og påvirke verden, så kan vi få det til. Er det håp i hengende snøre på et vis?
Det er det.
Ja. Så jeg tenkte vi skulle gjøre en litt sånn dele. Vi har jo filmet, tatt masse bilder og hørt på mange. Og vi har lyst til å dele litt forskjellige snutter.
Ja.
Så nå skal dere få se litt på hvordan det var helt innledningsvis på konferansen. Så bare følg med. Heng på!
Så var det utrolig mange mennesker der. Vi var 1500 stykker i salen, og så var det 7000 som fulgte med online. Og det var en vibrerende stemning. Fantastiske poeter og sangere og artister. Og så begynte vi med fakta.
Vi viser dere noen tall som ble presentert for oss på konferansen. Bare sånn, hvis dere skal av den totale globale biomasse eller av dyr i verden, hvor mye er mennesker og budskap som vi trenger, altså husdyr, kuer, alt som skal fø oss. Hvor stor masse er det? Se på neste bilde. Nå er det jo ikke samme effekten, for vi fikk jo først bare presentert prosentene, og nå får dere svaret. Jeg synes det er ganske tankevekkende, ikke sant? Se neste bilde. Gå til facts. Neste facts. Dere får svaret på neste bilde, men mens jeg snakker nå, prøv å tenke. Hva er det som dreper mest mennesker på kloden i dag? Er det terrorisme? Er det krig? Vi er midt oppe i en krig akkurat nå, flere steder. Er det mord? Eller er det selvmord? Hva topper statistikken? Hva tror du? Følg med.
Det tallet her, det viser at vi mennesker, vi har det rett og slett ikke bra. Selv om velstanden øker og vi har alle mulige muligheter, så føler vi med oss ensomme. Og vi lider ofte i stillhet, og selvmord er jo siste utveien, som dessverre skjer alt for ofte.
Så blir vi krydret med ganske mange fakta, forskning og hvor status det er på kloden i dag, som er tankevekkende. Så har vi disse 17 globale målene for bærekraft, som så elegant bare ble sagt det er symptomer på at verden ikke er der det skal være. Nå er det også kritikk med at disse 17 bærekraftsmålene kanskje er litt foreldet. Kanskje det må fornyes. Men uansett om det blir sånn eller sånn, så kommer vi ikke vri oss unna at det er symptomer på at verden ikke fungerer som man skal.
Ja, det er tankevekkende, ikke sant? Men nå skal vi over til noe som er veldig interessant, og det er paneldebatten, hvor vi hørte moderator Jarskog, som er Directorate IDG Global Collaboration, intervjuet blant annet Laurel Patterson, som er Director of SDG Portfolio, Global Policy Networking.
What is your contribution to these ecosystems for inner development?
Thank you, Åse. And thank you, everyone. It's great to be here today. And it was really a privilege to listen to all of the other speakers with you this morning from the audience. I want to put 2 ideas on the table and then share 2 insights, and look forward to hearing from the others as well. First of all, the UN has a key leadership role to play and stewardship role in achieving the SDGs. And we've just come out of the General Assembly in September, and you will have seen the headlines just like the rest of us. It doesn't look good. Overall progress sits at somewhere around 15%, and I'll make it worse and then better to say that's 15% for the goals and the targets that we're able to measure. And at this point, we're able to measure using internationally recognized methods and standards only 140 of 169 targets. And that grown leaps and bounds in terms of our ability to measure, understand progress, understand directionality, and fundamentally, what I think is key for progress in the second half is making this shift from thinking about 17 goals, which was never the intention to have a list and tick them off, wouldn't work, because the subtitle of the SDGs and the 2030 agenda is transforming our world. Sometimes we forget that. That's the intention behind this agenda, to transform our world. And that level of ambition came through across all of the goals, but not in our ability to measure it consistently. So what we've been working on at UNDP and with several of others in the UN family is bringing methods together, integrating them, layering them over each other, working with governments. We've been working with 95 governments this year to identify the acupuncture points, those leverage points and multipliers that can unlock progress across multiple areas. One, growth really matters to countries, particularly countries that are still recovering from COVID. And growth is not our enemy. What is our enemy is growth at all costs. And this is what we're seeing in the world today. That second thing that's very important for the UN system to bring in is ourselves. And so one of the things that we had to think very deeply about in integrating in the way that I've talked to, data, evidence, experts, systems, you've heard it before, is ourselves. And this is where it's been such a tremendous connection with the inner development goals. We started on this journey during COVID, when all of us were at home, staring at screens, getting headaches, and saying, how did we get here? And how will we move from here, if not through ourselves? We developed a leadership journey, a global dialogue series. We invited anybody in the UN system to come.
Ja. Nå hører jeg hun sier at vi bare har nådd 15%, og det er ikke mye.
Det er kjempealvorlig. Jeg har ikke kjangs til å nå det innen 2030.
Nei. Men hun sier også noe annet, og det er at vi ikke bare skal måle, men at vi også skal
Transformeres.
Ja.
Mye av berggransarbeidet i Norge da er jo veldig bra at vi har fått inn måling, at vi skal måles, men det jeg hører at det er veldig mange som er opptatt av måling seg selv, en måler og rapporterer, men det vi hører nå UN sier er at det skal transformeres. Vi skal endre oss, så der sier hun også veldig tydelig at der kommer IDG inn som et støttende rammeverk som kan hjelpe oss å akselerere mot å få til endring. For det er ikke sånn at dere kommer til å finne noen som finner opp en dings eller sørger for at vi stopper utviklingen. Det er faktisk sånn at vi må endre adferd, både på personnivå, individuelt, på kollektivt nivå og systemnivå.
Ja.
Og der må alle bidra, både hver og en av oss, men også de som da har makt. Sitter på makt for å endre. Apropos makt, så er jo da veldig spennende å høre på den svenske tidligere ministeren, og hva han tenker om hva som skal til for å endre.
La oss høre.
In the Swedish government as a minister, and now you are coordinating the SDG work for the Swedish government, different ministries. What is the contribution that the government can have in these ecosystems for inner development, from your perspective?
Well, I've come to realize that the most important thing that the government and political system and officials like myself can contribute is, and it might sound like a very low ambition, but it is to speak the truth. Because we can long time, painting this very bright picture where we have not acknowledged the problems that we are facing, and we have overestimated our ability to manage those problems or meeting those challenges. And I remember when we were heading out of the pandemic a couple of years ago. And you know, during the pandemic, I don't think I was the only one who were referring to or quoting Winston Churchill saying that don't let a good crisis go to waste. I think we were quite many that believed that this could really be the moment where we started to change our systems, because we, in a way, even though it was a very black period in recent times, it was also a time where we realized that we could really do things in a different way. But the first message from the Swedish government and I think from many other governments when we were heading out of the pandemic was that we hope that people start to consume again. So we will, you know, make the economic wheels turning and we will get back on a growth path again. And this is of course totally wrong. Because in the same time, each and every year from the pandemic until now, we have had this report saying that the situation is even worse than we had imagined. And people are reading these reports. Young people are reading these reports. And at the same time, the core message from the system is that we can do business as usual. And I don't find another term for it, but this is schizophrenic. And it's no wonder that people turn away from politics, that they turn away from the solutions that could really help us, that they turn away from each other's. So the first and most important thing for us is to speak the truth and acknowledge these reports and say that if we are continuing this path, there is no hope. We can't believe in green growth. We can't believe in eternal economic growth because it is physically impossible. And it is really first, when we first acknowledge this, that we can do something about it. Because everything that the IDG stands for, I think that they are based on one thing, and that is truth. Without truth, you can't have any trust, you can't have any real interconnection, you can't have anything else that we are aiming for. So the truth is really the core foundation, and I'm sorry to say, but this is the biggest challenge that we are facing now, to telling the truth. Thank you.
Wow. Det ganske imponerende å høre på Gabriel Wickstrøm, som har vært helseminister I Sverige, men som nå SDG-koordinator. Ja, jeg imponert over det han sier om å speak the truth.
Ja, han sier at vi må stikke fingeren I jorda, og politikere, og ikke bare politikere, men vi alle må akseptere fakta, at vi kan ikke ha business as usual. Så etter pandemien, som han sa, kunne utnytte den krisa på å snu oss. Men regjeringen fremmet at vi skulle få opp forbruket og få hjula I gang. Og som han sier, det var jo helt feil. Vi kan ikke ha business as usual. Det bringer meg egentlig til en annen foredragsholder som viste en kraftfull bilde om hva business as usual fører til. At det helt feil. Jeg skal legge det på nå rett etter neste bilde.
har vi lyst til å vise dere en snutt med Pontus Holmgren, som hub-koordinatoren for alle hubene globalt i IDG. Nå det altså over 430 hubber i hele verden, og for et år siden så var det 30, så det en veldig utvikling. Veldig gøy.
The whole time, it's all about co-creation, and we would not be here today if it wasn't for the hubs and networks. So thank you, hubs and networks, for making us come all this way. You have this beautiful title, Hubs and Networks Coordinator. What I mean, 400 hubs, what kind of a job do you have actually? Can you tell us?
Yeah, I ask myself that question too. And I feel really humble because for me this is very much of serving what wants to emerge by itself. It is happening. And I'm asking myself every day, in every meeting, how can I support this? How can I help connect people and dots and get out of the way of what wants to emerge? And I've actually changed my title yesterday. You don't know that also, but it says co-coordinator. So next to me here is also Ariel Goodman. And also, next to me is also the global coordination team and resource team of hubs and networks, and a big applause for them as well. And all the coordinators of more than 400 hubs that have been emerging during 18 months. So it's incredible. It's really explosive, this growth. And I'm super excited to see where this is going to end.
If we are going to advance an energy transition, say we would agree we need to advance an energy transition, in the poorest countries in the world, it will cost $2.3 trillion annually. Annually. If we want to invest in social protection floors, so that more women can enter the formal labor force, so that more children can go to school, there's a cost implication of these things. We need all players at the table. Those are in private sector, those are in banking, those are in government, those are around the table today. So I really want to encourage us, as that's an area that perhaps we have some bias we may not have recognized until we sort of may have heard it in the room here a little bit. Let's tackle it, because these are the things that hold us back. And these are precisely the spaces we want to be able to explore so we can break through. Thank you.
Any final comment from you?
Realize that this is an open source framework, and anyone who feels called can start a conversation, start a hub. We say that you need to be 3 people to be a group, so that's what's needed. A lot of organizations are also joining. Existing movements are joining this movement of movements, and I think that is amazing. Hubs are contributing with advocacy, spreading the message. We are building capacity by working and training on the skills, by finding and exploring and developing and innovating tools. We're supporting the academic outreach and helping out with a 1-question survey, and loads of other things. Of course, activism in the local plane, in the networks connecting across the globe also. So it's quite fascinating. I think the main strategy that I have seen, how do you do it? How do you support this? And for me, it is about creating spaces and helping others to create more spaces for conversations, for connection, and for becoming smarter together. Because connecting the dots, you may think it's an individual task, like when you were a kid and were doing those drawings in a drawing book, connecting the dots. But these kind of dots that we're talking about, we can only do it together.
Thank you, Pontus. how can the hubs and networks, because I understand there are many different stakeholders represented in the hubs and networks, but the majority, you would say, because the movement, it would be what we call civil society. How can civil society reach out and support what other stakeholders are doing?
Well, I think that in this global movement, we are really cross all sectors, and I think that is the big potential here. That we hold all the pieces together, and that I think is the whole thing here. That if we can connect and have these conversations, and also see that it is possible, we are part of the solution, and we're part of the problem. And I feel, you know, if I would say a last word here, I feel so deeply touched by Rosanna, who was reading the poem earlier. And for me, the message from her is that we have to expand our hearts to be able to hold both the pain and the possibility.
Thank you.
Nærmer vi oss Oslo, så var det vi rakk. Vi rakk ikke å høre på si noe om hun fra OECD, som snakket om hvordan de jobber med skoleverket og utdanning på tvers til alle land. Det får være til gode, men det var så langt vi kom. Så Cecilie, Pontus sa, han synes jeg rappet det veldig fint opp. Han sa mye klokt.
Ja.
Så hva det du vil gjenta, som han sa?
Vel, jeg har lyst til å gjenta det siste han sa, som hun Antonia the Poet sa, det med at vi må gjøre plass i hjertet vårt, og expand our heart, altså gjøre plass i hjertet vårt til både smerte og til possibilities, til at det håp. Ja.
Vi lar det være siste ord, og så skal vi dele mer fra konferansen, litt sånn smådrypp.
Ja.
Det var i hvert fall paneldebatten som vi tenkte, og det har bare starten på konferansen.
Ja.
Så det så mye å ta. Men litt drypp skal dere få videre.
Jeg håper dere har kost dere på denne togturen fra Stockholm til Oslo med oss.
Ja, ok.
Ha det!
Ha det.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see the blue for me and you, and I think to myself, what